Hey y'all, I'm Kim, host of Book Marketing Mania, and I'm so thrilled you're tuning in to learn how to build your audience and reach new readers on podcast. This week, we're continuing our series of podcast interviews with author spotlights on new friends that I have connected with through the PodMatch service that we talked about in episode 131. And I couldn't wait for you to hear from author Kim Sorrelle to share tips with you if you are hesitant to write about your hard story, as well as what's working well for Kim to market her book, including her experience as a podcast guest using the PodMatch service. You're in for a treat today, so let's get to it. Hey, Kim. Welcome to Book Marketing Mania. I'm so thrilled you're here today to serve my listeners.
I am so happy to connect with you, and I feel like we are kindred spirits and we'll know each other forever.
That's right. Let's hope so. Well, I thought it was so fun to connect with you on PodMatch and couldn't wait to hear you share about your book. So let me ask you that first, Kim. Can you tell us about your book, Love Is, and who your target reader is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my husband passed away from pancreatic cancer. And I just wanted to make sure I was living life right. He was a great guy. We had a great marriage. And so I decided that I was going to figure out the true meaning of love. It seems to be this age old question. Like if you get 14 people in a room, you're going to get 14 different answers to what is love. And I thought, well, someone needs to do a deep dive into this. And so I decided I would. And so I dedicated a year to this eat, pray, love kind of experience. I was in Haiti most of the time. I used this 2,000-year-old poem as my roadmap. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, etc. And I took one word or phrase a month and really focused on what is love that is patient, what is love that is kind. And crazy things happened. You know, I was in an interesting country to begin with. And then just, so I tell the stories of how I came to know what is love that is patient or kind or whatever. And so that's what love is it's a bunch of stories and then a bunch of truths about what love really is.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I'm so appreciative that, we all have all these things that happen to us in our lives, right? And that God calls, well, he probably calls all of us, but not all of us answer the call to write about something so hard and to then go look for the beauty in it. I think that's something we can all learn from is just, we go through so many losses in life and I can't imagine losing my spouse and just then going, okay, like then you dig into a subject of love, especially, and then how can I, be able to share it with other people? So tell us, who is your target reader for the book? Did you have a specific person in mind when you're writing it?
Love is everywhere and everything, right? And so with books, with business, with anything, you really do need to hone it in and kind of have a target. And I would say that the majority of my readers are Christian women, anywhere from 25 to 65 years old, which is quite an age range, but that just want to know more about love and incorporate it into their lives. And so that's really kind of the target reader.
Yeah, yeah. And I can see a lot of people, would read it and then be able to share it with other people that need to feel God's love along their way. So tell us, I know a lot of our listeners, Kim, are writers that are thinking about writing a book, and maybe they have been through different hard things in their life and definitely big losses, and they're overcoming those, of course, with God's help. But what encouragement would you give them? And I'm asking this super selfishly too. What advice would you give them to, start documenting or thinking about how can I share these hard stories in a way that helps other people?
Well, I'm going to go back to what you said earlier, that everybody goes through stuff. And then what you decide to do with it is up to you, right? You can use it to help other people go through the same thing because you can relate in a whole different way when you've gone through it yourself. And so you can use it. And one way to use it is to write about it. And writing is such great therapy. I've yet to meet anybody who doesn't believe it's therapy. It is. You can't pay somebody enough, a therapist enough to get the kind of therapy that you get out of putting your life down on paper. And my first book, Cry Until You Laugh, I started writing when I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh,
And
wow.
wanted to know, what is it like? How do you make decisions? Are there choices? What is it really like to do? And so I started writing, and man, that was good for me to do. And so I would say my encouragement would be that you just kind of have to start. So many people feel like, oh my gosh, you got to have this method, this way, this
Uh-huh.
space, a certain time of day. And for some people, a certain time of day is great. For some people, a certain amount of day is great. But for other people, write when you can write, like no pressure. There shouldn't be any
Hmm.
pressure involved. Just enjoy the process. And yes, you can help so many other people with your story.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And my mother-in-law passed away of breast cancer, and it's been 12 years now that she's been gone. And I wish I would have wrote during that hard story, especially. And I wish I would have been able to like even have the forethought to capture what she would have to say about it all, because she was such a great storyteller. And yeah, just encourage anybody, wanting to do that. And just to start documenting. I mean, like I said, I'm really preaching to myself on this. I'm a parent of a special needs child, Kim. And so there's been so many ups and downs and will continue to be, for a long time to come. And, I've felt God nudging me at one time to write about it. And then I felt team kind of nudge me more in the marketing department, but I kind of feel like I'm being swung back the other way again. So who knows what, God's going to do with that all. But I so appreciate your encouragement on that. So let's talk about marketing, Kim. So you obviously have more than one book. And what is working well for you these days to market your books to new readers?
Well, you got to get an audience, right? You got to let
Hmm.
people know that it's there. And I think so often people write a book and they think the journey's over, but really it's just begun the day that it's published. That's when things really start, is because you're the one. No,
Hmm.
no one's going to market your book for you. I was traditionally published.
Hmm.
And so it's not like I just self-published and knew that I had to do it on my own. I was traditionally published. And even with that, in today's world, you need to market yourself. You need to get out there. And so one of the ways that has helped me a lot is by being a guest on podcasts and having
Hmm.
a podcast of my own. And that led actually, because I've been a guest on so many podcasts, I was found by a network, and I host a TV show now
Oh.
too as well. And so the one thing can lead to the next and lead to the next, and you never know who's listening. And the beauty of podcasts are they're there forever.
Hmm.
Somebody might listen a year from now. Somebody might
Yeah.
listen next week. I mean, you just don't know. And when people will find you,
Hmm.
but your book, you're probably going to have out there forever. So to market in a way that is a forever marketing, that's the way to do it.
Hmm.
On YouTube, on podcasts, on anywhere where it's evergreen, where it's always going to be there, I think is the best way to market.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And I'm definitely going to check out your YouTube channel. I have been so surprised as I have considered getting into the YouTube. I haven't done it with my podcast, but I've also thought about doing some YouTube videos, just tutorials and education about marketing. So I've been consuming a lot more YouTube than I ever have in my life. But I have been so blown away. Once you start following someone, or if you watch one of their videos, then that algorithm gets to working. And then I'll pull up the app again the next day. And it's like, there will be some really old stuff on there, from somebody I'm interested in learning from. And so I've just been like, wow, this is really incredible the way that the algorithm works. So let me ask you, Kim, what would you say to authors or, writers, podcasters that are thinking about taking advantage of the YouTube realm for videos, but we're a little nervous to get on camera and, have our face and video out there for all to see for always? What would you encourage us to just kind of get over that hump so that we can get out there and reach more readers that way?
First of all, I would say that you are beautiful. You're beautiful. You are one of a kind. I often think of like the Mona Lisa. If the Mona Lisa ever went up for sale, how many millions and millions and millions of dollars would Jeff Bezos or Elon
Hmm.
Musk or somebody pay for it, right? And it's because it's a one of a kind masterpiece. It's a one of a kind masterpiece. And that is why. And so are you. There's never been anybody exactly like you. There never will be anybody exactly like you. You are the only you. And that alone, you should be able to look at and go, wow, I might not be like her. I might not be like him because I'm me.
Mm-hmm.
It's good you're not like somebody else because you're you. And whatever the you that is inside of you has to offer is something that somebody needs to hear. Somebody needs to hear that. So, hair, makeup, I mean, authenticity is the big thing. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
be yourself and whatever that means. Like I'm high energy most of the time, whatever. And not everybody's high energy. Not everybody wants to listen to high energy. And
Mm-hmm.
so, whoever you are, embrace that, love yourself for your incredible uniqueness, and then realize that there is a message that you have, and your duty really is to share it. And don't be
Mm-hmm.
afraid of the camera. Get on camera. You're beautiful. Look in the mirror and tell yourself how beautiful you are. You look great on camera. Just make it happen. Just do it. Don't hesitate because
Mm-hmm.
you're unique. What you have to offer is unique. So get out there and do it.
Yeah, that's such great advice. I need to hear that. I know everyone needs to hear that. And that's the other thing. I definitely found it in listening to podcasts, and I definitely have found it in watching more videos now, is that everybody is kind of communicating the same core message. It seems like there's no like brand new messaging out there, but the way you share it is a brand new way. And you definitely start realizing like, okay, I heard a video about this, but now this particular author or speaker is presenting in this manner, and that's what you're drawn to. And it just, I think God will just lead us to who we need to hear from. But that was such a good word. So let me ask, because you did talk about this a little bit, Kim, about PodMatch, and that's how we originally officially connected for this interview. And I'm just so thankful for all Alex is doing over there at PodMatch. And I'd just love to hear your experience are you using it for both guesting and hosting, or are you using it just for guesting?
I've only been using it for guesting so far.
Okay, well, good. Well, so I'm just the opposite. So I'm dying to hear what your experience has been like with that, to connect with, new podcasters, or, get in front of new audiences and be able to share your message that way.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It's such a great platform. You can search certain topics so that you know that you fit in with somebody's show. You can broaden your topics. You can do whatever it is you want to do, but you can reach out directly to the podcaster, which I think is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And just send a quick note and, hey, I'm so and so, and this is what I do. And then they let you know if they're interested or not. And I'll tell you, compared to life in general,
Mm-hmm.
the responses are much more positive. Like the number of people that respond, because people that are on PodMatch are serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be a guest, or they want to find great guests. And so the majority of the time, I get a note back, and either, hey, sorry, you're really not a fit for my show, or yeah, let's schedule an interview. And I think I've done over 300 interviews actually through PodMatch.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
incredible.
right. Yeah. There are a lot of podcasts out there. And I think that's another kind of misnomer, is that people think, oh gosh, we don't need another podcast. Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
do. There's not too many. It
Yeah.
just isn't true, because people are drawn to different things. And
Mm-hmm.
so whatever your message is, somebody's going to be drawn to what it is that you have to offer. And so there are tons of podcasts. There's tons to reach out to. There's incredible people out there. Podcasters are wonderful people. I've yet to meet a podcaster that I didn't kind of fall in love with, like,
Mm-hmm.
who just wants to support you and love you through the process and make it comfortable. And so PodMatch has just been a fantastic way to connect with people.
Yeah, that's so incredible. I'm glad you brought out the importance of like that, but using that kind of a, membership program, a system, a service, whatever you want to call it, is that you are networking with and getting into the rim of people that are serious about it, right? Like you said, the guests, they are there to guest, the hosts are there to find guests, and you could be doing both as well. But yeah, versus like, I know, I'm sure you've done this too, like a lot of the cold pitching to different podcasters outside of that, you never know if you're going to hear back from them, and you never know if you've even got the most correct contact information. And you don't know a lot about the show unless you really go take the time to dig into it versus on PodMatch. It's just all there for you. And I just love it. And I've been so impressed with the people I've connected with on there. And I think that's the thing is I've talked to a lot of people that have guested as authors and they'll like their episode will air today and they'll be so bummed because they don't see like some huge book sales that day. And it's like you said, you never know when people are going to listen. They may listen today, they may listen, 10 years from today. So you can't really judge it on that. And I think it's important not even to go into it with that as a guest, like just be thinking about the relationships you're building with that host and the listeners long term. Yeah, I can imagine if you've been on 300, I just can't even imagine like all the different opportunities that have come out of that and relationships that have been built. It's just such an incredible way to not only get your message out there, but get to meet new people. And that's what I think of like the people that maybe I would co-pitch. These are totally different people that, again, I might not even known they had a podcast. It's so incredible to discover new podcasts, not from the idea of there's too many, which we all think that we want to start a podcast. But yeah, just that there's so many more that have already pulled listeners together that want to hear my genuine message, like you talked about. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And realize, people are people all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think when you first start out, it can be a little intimidating, like, oh my gosh, they have a
Mm-hmm.
podcast, like
Mm-hmm.
they're a superstar in my world and whatever, but people are people are people. And like you, Kim, it is so easy to just sit here and have a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm.
You just make it so easy. And most podcasters are, I would say, are like that. There are some that aren't that,
Mm-hmm.
that have a different style, a different way, but you just listen and then ask a question or we just talk. And I love that kind of a
Mm-hmm.
format. And you're so good at it.
Oh, thank
And the content you have is so good.
you.
I love your
Oh,
podcast.
well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me coming from a published author, traditionally published. Hey, I wanted to ask you one when you were talking about being traditionally published, Kim, is, something that I come up with against a lot with a lot of writers and authors when I talk to them is they think of marketing as something you do after your book is out, which you do. You do that, but I don't know how to like get out there and really just like get the words out to people. And so I think my guest could probably do a really good job of this, like you, is what would you share with writers? They're working on their very first book, but they do think of like marketing. Okay, yeah, I'll do that when I get done. When I get done and get that book in hand, then I'll talk to you about marketing. And I'm just like, oh, it needs to start so much earlier than that. Like, it really is like almost day one of you get the idea of a book. Now you're going to start building that audience and marketing and helping people. So I would love to hear from your experience what you would say to that.
I think the more you say, I'm writing a book, I'm an author, if you're writing a book, you're an author,
Mm-hmm.
period. Right. So embrace that. You're an author. And the more you say, I'm an author, I'm writing a book about, the more you believe it yourself, the
Mm-hmm.
more confidence you have in writing the book, and the more driven you are to actually get the book out there because you've been telling people that you're going to. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of books that are 99% done and
Mm-hmm.
somebody's sitting at somebody's computer and they just can't do the last. So if you can, from the very beginning, whatever your book is about, when you get a chance to talk about it to people, when you get a chance to go on a podcast or just in conversation, be able to say, hey, I'm writing a book on whatever, and it'll be coming out sometime next year. I mean, you don't have to give us exact date.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's coming out soon and whatever. If you want to get on my mailing list, have a place where you can collect emails if you can, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can go back to those people and say, I told you it was coming and
Mm-hmm.
here it is, and it's going to be launched on this day. You can pre-sell some books, whatever. But yes, talk about it. Talking about it gave me so much confidence. Like when I did Love It Is, my book about love, from the very beginning, I said, I am going to do this journey and I'm going to write about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do this journey and I'm going to write about it. So I was telling all my friends, I'm going to do this. I'm going to dedicate a year and I'm going to do this thing. And then I'm going to write about it. And so way before I even started the journey, I started talking about it. And sometimes my friends would go, sure, yeah, okay, we'll see. But here it is, it's been out and I did it. And I think one of the main reasons I did is because I told people I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, get it out there as soon as you can.
Yeah, that's a great idea just to really focus in on. It's going to really cement that thought in your brain and in your heart. You are an author from day one, right? And that you do need an audience and take them along on that journey as you're writing about it, so they get excited about what's to come. Because like you were talking about with your email list, that's what I think happens a lot of times is if they wait, then it's like, okay, now I have my book in my hand. Oh, I hear about this email list I'm supposed to have. And then you're just like, you're starting from scratch there, which you can. But yeah, it would have been a lot easier if you just started way back when. And I just think, again, like Kim being on 300 podcasts, just think of all those audience members, when you're doing something like that, you can get them on your email list and take them along your journey. So, oh gosh, I just love this so much. I'm definitely going to have to check out your book, Kim. So for our listeners, will you tell them where the best place is they can connect with you online and just learn more about you and stay in touch with you after this interview?
Yeah, I'm very easy to find because I'm literally the only Kim Sorrelle spelled my way in the entire world because my last name is ridiculous. It has way too many letters. There are 2 R's, 2 E's, 2 L's, SORRELLE. KimSorrelle.com is my website. And of course, everything's on there. But my YouTube channel is Kim Sorrelle. My Instagram is Kim Sorrelle. My Facebook, just everything is Kim Sorrelle. It's kind of nice having a unique name. And so I'm easy to connect with, and I love connecting with people. And you email me, I will email you back. There are a lot of families that are buying Love Is and reading it together as a family.
Oh, yeah.
Like adult kids, and then getting on Zoom once a month and talking about a chapter. And there are church groups doing it. There are other groups doing it, businesses even doing it. And so I love to hear from people that are doing that and how it's in their group. And so reach out, KimSorrelle.com, and I'd love to hear from you.
Oh, great. Yay. Well, I'll definitely put all those in the show notes, links as well as links to your books. Well, thank you, Kim, for your time today. I'm just so appreciative of it. And I can't wait for my listeners to hear from you.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'm excited because I really believe we are kindred spirits and we're connected.
That sounds great. Oh, y'all, I absolutely love connecting with new friends and getting to serve you at the same time. And I hope that Kim's author journey inspired you with new ideas for your own. Stay tuned, as next episode, you're going to get to meet my guest who has some incredible tips on taking your message to the stage and how you can customize your topic to a speaking event or a podcast episode. I can't wait for you to meet Marnie. Thanks for tuning in today, and as always, I'll be there for you to help you build your audience and reach new readers one podcast at a time. See you then.